morning voice. All right, so let us talk about this dreaded morning voice. First of all, what the heck is morning voice? So first things first, before we can talk about morning voice, we have to talk about how the vocal folds are depending upon what pitch we're vocalizing, right? So at a naturally lower pitch, the vocal folds are going to be relatively short and thick, okay? So especially down here for me in the morning. Okay, my vocal folds are going to be very short and thick to create that sound. Now, for going up higher, your vocal folds will actually stretch out, becoming longer and thinner, okay? But in the morning, especially if you've had some food right before you went to bed last night, especially milk, I don't eat milk just because it is so bad for the voice. If you have milk, you have sugar, you have spicy food, pretty much anything that's not dry can cause, has the potential to cause swelling in the morning, which can result in what's known as the dreaded morning voice. So one of the quickest ways that we can learn how to overcome this is a warm-up, right? So whether you're a cisgender woman who wakes up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, I sound like the Crypt Keeper, you know, like, it just does not sound good, whether you're trans, regardless of where you're coming from. We all deal with this dreaded morning voice, okay? And again, that's where our vocal folds are going to be naturally they're basically kind of swollen in the morning. And with swelling, rather than having them stretch out like, the vocal folds need to be worked slowly. So I always tell my students, let's meet your vocal folds where they are at. Now, what does that look like? Well, again,
at lower pitches, the vocal folds are going to be very short and thick. So if we wake up with swollen vocal folds, naturally the vocal folds are going to be thicker. So for my AMAB students, assigned male at birth, I always tell them, hey, we're going to start down low with lip trill. Okay, and if you want to be scientific about it, bilabial trill.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. But the great thing about the lip trill is what it forces you to do is have consistent support from your tummy, consistent air support to help you keep the sound stabilized. And especially in the morning when we have swollen vocal folds, our vocal folds are going to they're going to have trouble stretching out, becoming longer and thinner for those higher frequencies that whether or not you're a singer, you're a soprano, you're trans, whatever it is, if you want to hit those higher frequencies in the morning, we want to meet our voice where it's at. So starting down low with something as simple as a
just a nice low note.
Keep in mind, this is temporary. This is not what we're going to sound like. This is just to meet our vocal folds where they're at, get them stretched out a little bit, and reduce some of that swelling, okay? So, and if you're having trouble doing the lip trill, this is a custom NatFem exercise that I'm about to show you. Some people struggle with relaxing their lips. So what I tell people is make a face kind of like you got nothing going on in your head. Like, just let your face kind of droop. And I want you to imagine a horse. Now, if you've ever seen a horse in person, you know how they make that noise where they're like, so we're going to channel our inner horse here, and we're going to go, we're just going to loosen up everything nice and loose. Shake our head a little bit. Your neck shouldn't be tight. Just ragdoll it. From there, we're going to, at the tail end of that just air, we're going to add that vocalization. So it's going to sound something like this. Now we're going to slowly, incrementally work our way up higher. Okay, so we're slowly stretching out the vocal folds bit by bit by bit. Okay. So for me this morning, I woke up with an E2. Okay, so that's a ridiculously low note. I have no use for that note. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly start working up from that E.
Okay, Okay, so you can already start to hear that the E is starting to go away, right?
And we're going to do this, just the lower part for just a little bit. We're not going to start, we're not going up there yet. So think about a minute of just. And again, if you're having trouble keeping your lips together here, go back to that horse sigh. Got nothing going on. Ragdoll your face. Then at the tail end, we're going to go. Okay, and that'll help you get that connection, okay? So. Now we can start working our way up to the middle part of our voice, okay? Good. After you do that for a minute, now we can start working on the upper middle part of our voice. Do that for a minute, just kind of working within that. Then, now we're going to go up to the beginning of our upper register. Okay, so it's going to be a. Now, middle upper register. Now, upper. And you can hear my vocal folds are having trouble connecting here, right? Because they're still swollen from that stupid sugar I had last night before I went to sleep, which was very delicious, but I'm regretting it now, right? Because you can hear like the vocal folds don't want to stay connected up that high, right? There it is. There's that plateau. So once we reach that plateau, we're going to go back down. Up to a G5 this morning. Normally, I mean, if my voice is warmed up, I usually have up to around an E6. So this is a really, really simple way just to get rid of that morning voice sound that so many of us loathe and hate. Whether or not you're cis, just have a naturally deep voice, you smoked last night, you know, alcohol can do the same thing, can cause the swelling. So if you just partied last night, you got a gig today, this is a really, really great exercise to do. And ideally, you should spend about 15 minutes just doing this. A normal warm-up should take about 20 minutes, realistically speaking. So I hope this is helpful. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys like my ungroomed version of myself. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll see y'all. Okay, bye.